This conference
Okay.
will now be recorded.
Okay. So the agenda is something like this today for today. So the core points for our agenda is like what is performance testing, and then what is LoadRunner architecture all about, and then we go through how to record a simple flow and replay it and see how it goes. And then we will go through the course content of the LoadRunner, and then we will finally discuss about the Q&A. Okay. So um, one second, guys. Okay. Um, okay.
C'est bon, tu peux là?
Um, one second.
Hein? Allez,
Okay. So okay. So one small request from my end. So while the session is on, I request all of you to be on mute. And if you have any questions, you can just ping in the chat window. Else, after completion of each point, I will be giving you 1 or 2 minutes time to discuss some of the questions from that. Or you can keep all the questions with you, and we can discuss at the end itself. That is also fine. Okay. Now, coming back to the agenda. So we will begin with what is performance testing. Okay. So for this, I would like to just go through this slide. So in the software testing okay field, so we have two important things like functional testing and non-functional testing. Okay, in every software project, so the functional testing and the non-functional testing will be a part of it. Okay, so what is functional testing and what is non-functional testing? So we need to understand the difference before we understand what is performance testing. So functional testing is all about testing the functionality of the application. Okay, so for example, here if I open any uh, application, let's say I'm opening one sample application. Okay, now if I ask you to test the login functionality of this application, okay, if I ask you to test the login functionality of the application, then what will we do? So we launch the application, and then we log into the application by giving some valid username and password and click login button. Okay, and then you see the user successfully logged in. So in this way, we are actually testing the login functionality. Okay, we give a valid username and password and verify whether the user is able to log in. Okay, we also give a valid username and invalid password, or we also give an invalid username and valid password just to test the negative side of it, negative scenarios kind of thing. But the whole point is we are actually testing the functionality of it, how it's working. Okay, but if you see, or if you think uh, from a non-functional testing perspective, okay, where performance testing is a part of it, okay, it is primarily focused on, okay, how fast the user is able to navigate from one page to another page. Okay, so when a user like launches the application or enter a valid username and password, okay, and how much time it is taking for the user to navigate to this particular page. Okay, this is where the performance testers are more interested. Okay, the primary focus of a performance tester is about analyzing, okay, or testing how much speed or how speed is application, or or how much time it is taking to load the pages. Okay, I'll just give you a generic example. Let's say you have like you have you went to a shopping mall. There is something called lift, or you call an escalator. Okay, so you went inside the lift, and let's say you want to go to third floor. You want to verify whether it is going to third floor or not. So you go inside the lift and press 3. Okay, when you press 3, the lift should go to third floor. That is a functionality of it, right? Now, when it comes to performance aspect, when you go inside the lift and press 3, you are more concerned about how much time it is taking to go to third floor. Okay, of course, going to third floor is important, but how much time it is taking to go to third floor is also very important from performance testing perspective. The primary focus will be, okay, will be on the performance side. Okay, now just one more uh, additional point on top of it. When it comes to performance testing, okay, with the given example of lift or an escalator, what I said is a person might go inside the lift and press 3 button so that we will be verifying how much time it is taking to go to third floor. That's fine. Okay. Now, what is the lift capacity? The lift capacity is definitely not one, right? The lift capacity will be minimum 4, 8, 10, 12, something like that, right? So, from performance testing perspective, we should also see or verify when, okay, when we have the actual load, okay, on the system. In this case, it is lift or an escalator. How much time it is taking to, okay, to load the page, or in this case how much time it is taking to go to third floor. So let's say lift capacity is 10%. So when 10% are on board, how much time it is taking to go to third floor is all about verifying the performance aspect of it. So when it comes to software applications as well, okay, when we are when we are actually uh, doing testing the application for its performance, we consider load. So what do you mean by load? Load means here for today it is number of users. So I can say that, hey, I have a banking application, for example. I want you to do a performance testing for that with 500 users. So what is that 500 users? It is all about the load on the system. Okay, when 500 users are actually accessing the application, banking application, how much time, or is there any performance issue? Whether all the users are able to access the application properly, whether the users are able to transfer money from one account to another account, whether the users are able to download bank statements, whether the users are able to pay credit card bill within no time. So the performance is aspect is very, very important when the actual load is applied on the system. Without load, there is no point in calling it as performance testing. So if you are the only user who is accessing the application, okay, what is the use of doing the performance testing when there is no load? Obviously, with one user, the application will definitely respond well most of the times, right? When there are more number of users, then only the challenges might be coming up, right? So all in all, the performance testing is all about checking the performance or checking the speed of the application with expected load. When there is some load, okay, then only we call it as performance testing. So checking the performance of an application by applying some load. Okay, so who will give you the load details and all, that is different topic we'll discuss. But I will just write some generic definition in the performance of an application by applying load. Okay, checking the performance of an application by applying load. Very simple. It's not a textbook definition. It's a generic definition which we are discussing about. We are trying to understand the concept. Okay, we'll discuss the definition. We'll see the definition later point, not required now. So what is performance testing? In general, checking the performance of an application by applying load. Without load, we don't call it as performance testing. Load here is nothing but the number of users. Okay, so when it comes to software testing here, so I told you that what is per functionality testing. It's all about checking the functionality. So here we have different types like regression testing, integration testing, and the tools that we use to automate the regression, show it or something like that. So we use Selenium, QTP, or now we call UFT, etc. Okay, when it comes to non-functional testing, we focus mostly on the non-functional aspects like performance. So the tools that we use here mostly are like LoadRunner, JMeter, Gatling, NeoLoad, etc. But the most widely used tools in the market are LoadRunner and JMeter. Okay, so I'll tell you like the some of the differences between these two and why these two tools are important. These things also we'll be discussing in some time. Okay, now I hope that you guys now have some basic idea about what is performance testing, right? Now, the next question that arises is why we need to do performance testing. For any software application, what is the need to do performance testing? Okay, so I don't know if you remember this in some way back in 2013 or 14. Uh, there was one e-commerce application, okay, I mean, which is still there. So that e-commerce application, they introduced a big sale for the first time. Okay, I think in 2013 or 14, they introduced a big sale or a festival sale in 2013 or 14. Okay, so in during that time period in 2013 and 14, when they introduced a big sale or a festival sale for the first time, like around let's say 12 p.m. the sale begins, okay, and all the users, okay, at a time they try to access the application and try to make I mean use of the application, okay, so that they will get more benefits because of that festival sale or big sale. Okay, now what happened at that time is, okay, even the application team, even the application owners, maybe they didn't expect that much amount of load, so more number of people access the application than their expectations. Let's say on a normal day, let's say some 10,000 people are accessing the application. On that particular day, let's say 2 lakh people access the application. So what happened at that time? Their application couldn't withstand the load. Their application couldn't handle the load, and then the application crashed at that time. Okay, so the performance testing is very, very, very important. That's the reason. You cannot run your application or you cannot deploy the application into production for the real users to use their application unless the performance testing is completed. Because even if the performance testing is not completed, there is every chance that the performance might get impacted or there might be some performance issues because of which the users might face or feel some dissatisfaction on the usage, and they might switch to some other applications with similar functionalities. Let's say you are using some email. Now, e- very frequently you are observing that when you're trying to add an attachment, it is getting stuck or it is freezing or it is loading very slowly. You will see once or twice or thrice. After that, what will you do? You will switch to some other application where they are providing email services. Okay, let's say you are playing some game. Let's say some chess game. Okay, now in mobile. Now you're playing the game and you feel that application is very slow. The game is loading very slow. You didn't like the performance of it. So you'll see once or twice or thrice, you will switch to some other chess game. Okay. Same thing, right? That means the users should not feel dissatisfied. Once the user feel dissatisfied with the performance, it will directly impact the financial aspect of the business. See like this. If performance testing is not conducted, then applications might face problems like slowness, pages loading forever, inconsistency, and may further result in business loss. Everyone agree with this? Nowadays, we all know that how important is the performance. If the application is little bit slow also, we are trying to switch to some other application which provides similar features, right? Okay, so here also I added one more point. The goal of performance testing is to find performance bottlenecks. Bottlenecks is nothing but issues, the performance issues, like the application is loading very slowly, application freezed, application page loading forever, something like that. Okay, so bottleneck is a term used in performance testing. Okay, however, in general we call it as performance issues. So the primary goal of performance testing is to find performance issues rather than finding functionality issues. Functionality issues are taken care by manual testing team. We need not worry about the functional testing aspect. Okay, definitely we need not worry about functional testing aspect in most of the projects. Okay, in most of the projects, uh, the the performance testing will be started, okay, once the manual testing or the functional testing is completed. Okay, so with this we just completed the first point, okay, for today's demo session, like what is performance testing. Okay, hope you got some idea about performance testing now. Very basic idea. I'm not expecting you to understand in depth as of now, because we just discussed very basics of performance testing and we didn't even touch any textbooks definition or something like that. We are just trying to understand the concept. We are trying to understand what is functional testing and performance testing, why performance testing is important. Hope everyone is clear. Okay, okay. Thanks for confirming in the chat window. If you have any
Yeah,
further questions, yeah, go ahead.
Krishna, I just wanted to ask, like, what would be the major difference between performance testing and the load testing in this case, or how
Uh,
they're different?
okay, actually there are different types of performance testing. So load testing, stress testing, endurance testing, scalability testing, volume testing. So I mean, I would like to give more clarity on that by tomorrow, because in next session we are going to discuss that for sure in detail. So
Got it.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, I just want to understand the very basics of it. So we'll get in-depth clarity by tomorrow for sure. Okay. Rachna, who fixes defects? Who fixes defects found in performance testing? Uh, Good question, actually. I mean, what she is asking is, when you find some performance issue, who is going to fix it? Like, is the developer team going to fix it, or the infrastructure team going to fix it? Okay, so it could be, uh, a- in some cases, it could be, in most of the cases, it will be development team. In some cases, it can be infrastructure team as well. Okay, when the issue is related to the infrastructure, okay, maybe the memory is not sufficient, or maybe the CPU processor is not sufficient, or maybe something else is there with the infrastructure because of which there is a slowness, then it has to be fixed by the infrastructure team. But when it comes to the code issues, okay, they didn't write the code well, they didn't tune it very properly, in those cases developers will fix it. Okay, for your question, it can be both developer or infrastructure team, depending on the type of performance issue we raised. Okay, so how to find out whether it is an infrastructure issue or a code issue, that we will discuss in detail in analysis part. Okay, so now let's try to understand the second point or agenda point for today, that is LoadRunner architecture. So because this course is all about LoadRunner, I would like to discuss few points on LoadRunner architecture. Okay, after which you'll be able to understand, okay, what is the overall architecture and what are the different components available in the architecture and what each component does. Okay, so for this I'm going to open a slide. Okay, now this architecture diagram I'm going to explain by asking, or by starting with few questions. Okay, when I ask, not to you but in general. So let's say there is a bank application. Let's assume there is a bank application. Now, there is some client, the owner of the bank. The client wants us to do performance testing with, performance testing for their banking application with 500 users. So that means the load on the banking application should be 500 users. Okay, in general. Now, what will you do? How will you test? Will you bring 500 people at one place and give them 500 laptops and ask them to access the bank application and then monitor the performance from the backend, like monitor the different metrics from the backend? Is that what we are going to do? Anyone? Is that what we are going to do? If client is asking us to do, when I say client, the owner of the application. If the client is asking us to do the performance testing for any application, for time being, let's say some bank application with 500 users, will you bring 500 people and give them 500 laptops or desktops and ask them to access the bank application and then monitor the performance? Is it possible? Okay, let's say it is possible. Now, what if I ask you to do a performance testing with 5,000 users? Will you bring 5,000 users and ask them to do performance testing
No.
or give them 5,000 laptops? No, right? It doesn't work like that. Of course, like 50, 100 you can manage maybe if you have money or time, or maybe more thing is like time. But in general, it doesn't work like that. So there should be some component in the load runner architecture which should assist us in simulating virtual users. Okay, so this is a component. Okay, one second. So let's say there is a bank application. Now, for this, if you want to test with some number of users, you need not bring a real users and give them laptops and all that stuff. You can make use of this component called load generator, which will simulate the virtual users, which will create the virtual users for you. And those virtual users will mimic the normal human actions, whatever we do, like clicking of a link or clicking of a button or selecting a value from a drop down or launching any application, navigating to a particular URL and all that stuff. So load generator is a component which is used to simulate or create virtual users. Okay. Now these load generators are also machines only, but little highly configured machines, because these machines have to simulate some users, virtual users, and each virtual user will consume some memory. So based on the configuration of the load generator machine, okay, some amount of users can be allocated or can be created by that machine. Okay, so all in all, this component is primarily used to simulate virtual users. Okay, now what is the next step? So when you want to do a performance testing for a bank application, how will you do a performance testing? So basically, the client, okay, or the client or the application team, they will give you some critical scenarios for that banking application, which are very, very important. Okay, when I say critical, if those scenarios have some performance issues, it will directly impact the revenue. So what are some critical scenarios for the banking application? So let's say first one is transfer money. Second one is, let's say, download bank statement. Let's say third one is pay credit card bill. Correct? All these are critical scenarios. That means if you see a normal user, even you guys use banking applications, right, online. So I mean, just taking one banking application sample, the most frequent action that you perform on banking application, what is that? You either transfer money, you download statement, or you check balance, or you pay credit card bill, something like that, right? So these are the critical scenarios for which you need to do performance testing. If the performance of these scenarios are impacted, then it will directly impact the business. Okay, then you can ask me, sir, what are non-critical then for a banking application? So I'll tell you one scenario. Changing user password is a non-critical. Why? Because not every user will change passwords daily, right? Some people will change today, some people will, I mean, once you change today, you might have to change after 3 months or 2 months, like that. So that means the number of users changing password will be very minimal on day-to-day basis. That is not a critical one. Okay, so these are critical. So the performance testers will always focus on the critical scenarios. Who will give these scenarios? Either the client will give you this or the application team will give you this. Okay, when I say application team, the core development team, including like business analyst also. Okay, now how do you test performance for these transfer money or download statement or paying credit card bill? So so first of all, you need to have a detailed understanding of the steps that you need to perform, and then use one of the component called Vuegen to record that flow or to generate the script for that flow, so that these virtual users can simulate, okay, the script or run the script with multiple number of users. So there is a component called Vuegen, which is primarily focused on generating or recording the flow of these critical scenarios. Once you generate the script, you have to do some minimal customization, and then you have to make use of this load generator to run. Okay, I mean, those scripts will run on load generator machines. So Vuegen is a component which is used to generate scripts. Which scripts? Scripts related to these critical scenarios for that application, any application in fact. Okay, so what are the steps that generally include for transfer money, by the way? So the common steps are: user will launch the application, then log into the application and select beneficiary, right? Enter the amount and transfer, something like that. Then log out. Okay, launch application, login, select beneficiary, ignore spelling mistake, guys. Enter amount and transfer and log out. So now for these steps, you need to record the flow or generate a script and do some minimal customization so that this script, okay, whatever we are generating in Vuegen, can be executed in load generator machine, okay, with multiple users. So this flow can be executed by 500 users, 5,000 users, 10,000 users. It's up to you depending on the requirement. Okay, so what is the purpose of Vuegen? Vuegen is a component which is primarily used to record or generate the script, and then post that we need to do some minimal customization. Everyone understood what is Vuegen? Now, once you have the script ready, you need to have some component which will trigger the execution, which will actually trigger the execution. You need to execute, then only you will come to know whether there is a performance issue or not. So there is a component called controller or performance center, or in fact the recent things like LRE also. So either controller or performance center, which is primarily responsible for, okay, creating a scenario. Like I said few minutes ago, someone asked, sir, what is load test? So we can create different types of performance test scenarios here and trigger the execution, only triggering the execution. Okay, so whatever the scripts that we develop here, we will upload it here. Okay, we will upload it here. Okay, and then create a scenario like load test or soak test or something like that, and then trigger the execution or start the execution. Once you start the execution, all the scripts and related files will be copied to these machines, and the actual execution happens here. Who is doing this transfer between these two components, like to and fro, data between these two components to and fro? There is something called agent process. This agent process will act as a bridge between controller and load generator. Okay, controller and load generator. Okay, everyone understood? So primarily we are going to develop the scripts here. Once the scripts are developed, we are going to upload it here. And then once we trigger the execution, create a scenario and then trigger the execution, the scripts, the files and everything will be transferred to LG machines, that is a load generator machine, and the actual execution happens there. Now, once the execution happens, what is the final thing? We need to do analysis. We need to tell client what went wrong, what went right during the execution, what is the performance issue, is there any performance issue for that application. So all that we can do with the help of analysis component. This component will give you so many metrics to understand whether there was any performance issue or not, especially with the help of different graphs. Okay, so everyone understood? Any primary questions here quickly, so that we are not sure about the time. Okay, we we still have like 25 minutes, but then we have
I
few
do
more
have
things
one
to cover.
question.
Yeah.
How many load generators we need basically for your example? It is 5 liters.
uh,
Minimum load generator.
See, it's good question, but it all depends on various factors, which we will discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. But to your question, at a very high level, it depends on various factors, uh, like the protocol that we are using, uh, the scripts that we are developing. Okay, uh, also the script complexity. Okay, so there are different factors like this. So how many users can each load generator generate depends on these multiple factors. Okay, we'll discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions.
Why I'm asking this question is if you want to adopt any load runner or any other tools, so our organization should have the good hardware ready.
Yeah, so when they are purchasing the license, right? So the organization will have some picture in their mind. They have their best, I mean, they have their, you know, highly important applications. They know what the load is coming up for that at that point of time. Okay, and then based on that, they will purchase the license. Okay, so and then after that, it's up to you, like for your application, how many LG machines you need to use based on the number of users, sorry based on the number of users that you need to test, based on the protocol, based on the script complexity, based on all these factors, you can then decide how many LGs you need. Okay, but for every organization there will be multiple LGs. It's not like they will have only one LG for sure. Okay, uh, so hope you understood. That's a very basic thing, but we need to discuss in detail because we need to understand like how much memory is being utilized for which protocol and all that stuff. So we'll discuss those things later. Okay, so now,
Kaushik,
yeah,
yeah. So in terms of application, does it support both web and desktop? Uh,
yes, it will support both. LoadRunner will support both. Yeah,
okay. And there was one arrow in your previous image from view gen to load generator. What was that?
agent process. This one.
Yeah, no, this from view gen to load generator. What will it do?
No. Actually, it doesn't do anything. So basically, here, this is the one which you're talking, right?
Yes, yes.
No. I mean, that before explaining controller, I just put arrow there. But actually,
Okay.
once we develop the scripts, Vuegen will upload the scripts. I mean, once we develop the scripts using Vuegen, we actually upload those scripts into controller. And from there, controller, when we trigger the execution, the controller will transfer the data to load generator machine through agent process. And the data is a bidirectional thing. Like the data will come and go to between these components. And the actual execution actually happens here. Okay, actually
Okay.
this is in
So,
interview question also. They will ask like
mhm.
where the actual execution happens. Most of them will say controller. See, in controller, the execution will not happen. In controller, we can only create a scenario and then trigger the execution. But the actual execution will happen here. Okay, I can prove it later practically also. Okay,
so
so
so what
we'll
is
discuss.
agent process actually?
Actually, it's like a bridge between these components. So that there should be the data transfer that should happen between these components and this agent process, which is actually a kind of component itself. So it will uh, like transfer the data between these two components. Like so, let's say from controller the data, the scripts, the related data, dependent data, everything will be transferred to load generator, and once the actual execution happens, the results and all that stuff should also be reverted back, right? So the agent process will take care of it. Okay, so once you install
Okay.
LoadRunner in your machine, so let me show you. So once you install LoadRunner in your machine, if you type agent, okay, so you'll see something called LoadRunner agent service. See, LoadRunner agent process, so it will take care of it. Okay, so so that process will take care of the actual data transfer that happens between these two components. Okay, so now coming back to the agenda. Okay, let me quickly check if there are any questions in chat window. Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. So let me go to the third point: sample, record, and replay. So what is this all about? Record and replay. What will we record basically? As like so far whatever we discussed, can anyone tell what are we going to record or what are we trying to replay? So the critical
Yeah.
scenarios, right?
Scenarios.
Whatever we discussed, yeah, the critical scenarios whatever we discussed, those scenarios we will try to record the flow, the steps that I have told you a few minutes ago. Those steps we will try to record, and then with small or minimal customization we can replay also. So now I will just show you a sample record and replay. Okay, can anyone tell which component I should use for record and replay?
Vision.
Vusion, right? From the architecture point of view, Vusion is a component which is used to create the scripts, correct?
Yeah,
So
yes.
now to launch Vusion, okay, to launch Vusion, I can, because if once it is installed, you just search Vusion like this, and then it will show this icon, and you can click on that icon. It will open the tool, the component tool for you. Okay, so now it is launching. Let me check whether it launched successfully or not. Okay, it is not. It didn't launch yet. Just wait for a few seconds. Okay, now see it is launching. Okay, see this is how it will be once you launch Vusion. So once you launch Vusion, okay, so there are different menu options which we will discuss in detail later on. So now I'll just quickly go to File, New Script and Solution. Okay, New Script and Solution. And here you'll get a pop-up window where you have different protocols. Okay, as I said, the very important protocol is the web HTTP HTML protocol. Uh, any web application which is accessed through URL like HTTP or HTTPS, okay, you can use this protocol. Okay, it doesn't matter if the application is built on Java or .NET or something. Most of the times, any application which can be accessed through HTTP or HTTPS, okay, over the browser, you can actually use this protocol. You just need to select the protocol and give, okay, just go here and give the location where you want to save the script. Okay, I'm just clicking on those three dots and trying to save it somewhere. Okay, oh, 1 second. Okay, let me go here and click a new create a new folder for us. Okay, let's say, like, this is the folder that I'm creating for now. Okay, and here let me say a script name should be more meaningful, more realistic, but for time being I'm just giving demo. Okay, and no need to change anything else for time being now. Just click on create. So it is creating a new script for us, the new blank script for us. Okay, nothing is recorded yet. It just created a empty script for us. Now what are we going to record now? So just few moments ago I showed you one sample application. Okay, this one, this is a URL. I'm going to launch this application with this URL. I'm going to log in by enter using valid username and password, and then after that I will log out of the application. 3 steps: launch, login, logout of this application is what we are trying to record now. Okay, so now I'll go to Vusion. To initiate the login process, sorry, to initiate the recording process, you can click this icon over here, which is a shortcut, or you can just click on this record menu, and from there also you can click on record. So this is where the actual script gets recorded, the white code editor. This is a solution explorer where you have different options related to the script development. We'll see those later. But now when I record, the actual code that gets generated is here. Okay, so I'm initiating the recording process. So I'm clicking on the record icon. Okay, and then it will show you a pop-up window. On this particular pop-up window, okay, on this particular pop-up window here, you just need to select the browser. Okay, I mean there are different options, but I'm just telling you the important ones for now because this is just a demo session. So here there is a browser that you need to choose, and then here you need to give the URL that you want to test. That means the project that you are working on, you will have that application URL, right? So that application URL you need to give here. Okay, so that URL I have already given here. See this one, and I've selected Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, and then I'm clicking on start recording. So once I click on start recording, what will happen? The Mozilla Firefox browser will be launched with the given URL. Okay, you can see the Mozilla Firefox browser is getting launched with the given URL. Right? Everyone understood? Okay, so the Mozilla Firefox launched. Okay, the Mozilla Firefox launched, and the URL also launched. Okay, now if you see there is a mobile window over here. There is a mobile window over here. This mobile window, okay, this mobile window, you can see I'm able to move it. You can see there is some number which actually keeps on increasing. If the number keeps on increasing, actually it is a very good sign that your tool, the tool is able to record the application flow. So whatever the actions that we are going to perform now on the UI, the code or the requests, okay, or the requests related to those actions will be recorded by the tool. So if the number keeps on increasing as and when you perform some actions on the UI, that means the tool is successfully able to record the application. Okay, so there is a similar mobile window for JMeter as well, but this mobile window is more powerful than JMeter. Okay, the JMeter has some limited options there. Now, on this mobile window, you have many options like stop recording, pause recording, cancel recording, and then comment, and then there are two couple of different topics like checkpoints and rendezvous points. We'll discuss all those things later, but for time being, I'm just telling you these two options. These two are nothing but insert start transaction, insert end transaction. That means Whatever the action that you are going to perform now, you have to start that action. Okay, you have to give a name for it, and then on the UI you need to perform those steps, and then you have to click on insert end transaction. So the sequence is, for whatever the action that you perform on the UI, first you need to start a transaction by clicking on insert start transaction, and then go ahead and perform the action on the UI, and then come back and then click on insert end transaction on the mobile window. Okay, so can anyone tell what is the next action that I'm going to perform on the UI? What is the next step that I'm going to perform on the UI? Next
Enter
step.
username and enter password. Click on login.
Yeah, so that means it's a login step, correct? At a
Yes.
very high level,
Yes.
it's a login step. So I'm going to click on insert start transaction here, and I'm going to give a name for the transaction, that is login. And I'm clicked on OK. Now don't click on insert start end transaction. Don't click on end transaction, but go ahead and perform on the action on the UI, that is enter the username and password and click on login button, and then wait for 5 seconds at least and check whether the page loaded completely or not, and then click on insert end transaction. Okay, that means the login step is done. What about the next action that I'm going to perform as per our understanding?
Log out.
Log out. So I'm clicking on insert start transaction, log out. Click OK. Go ahead and perform logout action. What do you mean by logout? There is a sign off link on the left hand side. So click on that sign off. So the user logged out successfully. Wait for 5 seconds, and then also check whether the page loaded completely or not. And then insert end transaction logout. That's it. Now you recorded all the steps: launch, login, logout. Now click on stop recording. Now once you click on stop recording, the tool will generate the code or the script. Okay, so once the recording is done, you will see a recording report like this. But for time being, you can ignore, nothing to do much there. There is one important point which I'll tell you later. So once you are on this screen, that is the action over here, where we actually recorded the flow. So you see the code got generated around some 60 or 70 lines. Okay, some additional piece of code also generated, which is not required, but then still that's fine. 60 or 70 lines of code got generated. Now, how do you understand this code at a very high level? See, if you see line number 33, what is it saying? LR underscore start underscore transaction. And there is a name called login. What does that mean? While recording the script, I have clicked on insert start transaction and I have given a name for it called login, right? So because of that, this piece of code generated. And if you see line number 52, there is something called LR end transaction login. What is this? Why this piece of code generated? When I clicked on insert end transaction on the UI, because of that, this piece of code generated. In between, whatever the code you have, whatever the request you have, this is related to login. So when you enter username and password and you click on login, this request got generated. How can I confirm? You can see the username that I passed and the password that I passed. Okay. Similarly, if you see line number 56, LR start transaction logout. What does that mean? When I clicked on insert start transaction logout, this piece of code generated. And if you see line number 68, LR end transaction logout. What does that mean? When I clicked on insert end transaction logout, this piece of code generated. In between, whatever the request is there, this is related to sign off. When I clicked on sign off, this piece of code generated. Everyone understanding the code that is getting generated? Okay. Now, if you go a little bit up vertically, if you see I'm scrolling up, before login, so this is LR start transaction login. So before login, you have one request here. Can anyone tell what is this request all about? Anyone?
Launch. Launch.
Launch. Correct. Why launch? Because before login, what did we do? We launched the application. But if you see carefully, for launch, there is no start transaction or end transaction. Why? Because when when the movable window appeared, okay, by the time movable window appeared, by the time you saw insert start transaction or insert end transaction, the browser already launched, isn't it? So when I clicked on record option here, okay, here when I clicked on start recording, this browser automatically launched with this URL. That's the reason I didn't get chance to insert a start transaction for launch and end transaction for launch. However, you can add it on your own like this, right? LR underscore start underscore transaction like this you can write on your own. Or if you don't know, there's a shortcut here. If you see, these two are the icons for that. This is insert start transaction. This is insert end transaction. Now, when I place the cursor at a particular line and click on insert start transaction, see code got generated, and you can give a name for it, launch. And after this request, I have to place the cursor again and click on insert end transaction and give the same name again, launch. That means launch is starting here and ending here. Everyone understood? Now, what is this before request? This is different. Later, we'll see later, not required now. So all in all, we have launch, we have login steps, we have logout also. These are called transactions. Launch transaction, login transaction, logout transaction. Everyone understood? Now, how do I replay? By simply clicking on this play button. So when I click on play button, it will launch, it will run that application, run that script locally in Vuegen, and it will give you the report as well. So it is executing in local, Vuegen local, done. It executed one time, done. See here, the report. Launch transaction completed and it took 0.9 seconds. Launch, how much time it has taken? 0.9 seconds. Login, 0.56 seconds. Logout, 0.58 seconds, something like that. So it is giving you the timing, how much time it has taken for the launch, how much time it has taken for login, how much time it has taken for logout, and all those. Everyone understood? So that's how you record and replay the script in Vuegen. So with this, we completed the basic understanding of how to record and replay as well. Okay. So, okay, whatever the questions you have, just be with me for few 5 minutes. We'll quickly finish the course content and then we will completely discuss the Q&A. Okay. So let me open the slide for Q&A. Sorry, for the course content. So basically, this course is designed to cover the LoadRunner basics to advanced. So when I say basics, even the guys coming from non-IT background will be able to understand it very easily and will be able to grasp it quickly. Okay. So the course content will begin with understanding the architecture basics, introduction to performance testing life cycle, and introduction to LoadRunner installation and all that stuff. And after that, we have like best scripting practices in Vuegen, how to record in a most effective way. Okay, and different options, inbuilt options to be used. Then runtime settings. These are some important features of Vuegen. And then we have recording options, very important options. Some checkpoints. Checkpoints are kind of assertions. You might have seen, I mean, you might have used this term assertions. Basically, in JMeter, we use term assertions. Here we use term checkpoints. Then the very important, sir, is coding required? Or how much of coding is required to customize the script that we recorded? I told you when you record the script, you need to do some minimum customization. Okay, so for that, you need to understand the basics of C language. Yes, it supports JavaScript also, but we will be going with C language because most of the projects use C language only, and also C language is there since ages, and you have all the forum support and all that stuff. Okay, so how much of C language is required? So trust me, you just need very basics. Like what are the points I mentioned here? You just need those. Okay, so I want my participants to understand the C language basics. For that, I will cover like 3 to 4 sessions. Okay, so after that, you will be able to customize your script on your own for sure. Okay, and then I added like some inbuilt functions and little bit other concepts like how do you read data from notepad file, how do you write data into notepad file and all that stuff. Okay, are covered as part of this course. And also one important concept called correlation, which we will discuss for like 3 to 4 sessions again. And we will discuss parameterization, which will take again 3 to 4 sessions. Okay, parameterization is nothing but like to pass different sets of test data, because we run performance tests with multiple users, right? So each user will, maybe sometimes we need to use some unique data and all that stuff. So parameterization concept is what we have to learn for that. And then we are switching to controller where we configure the scenario, create the scenario and trigger the execution. And when we do the detailed analysis of what went right, what went wrong during the test. And then we also provide observations to client. We will draft an email with all observations to client. You don't even find you don't even find this anywhere for sure, because it's a very real-time concept. What are the points that you need to add when you're drafting an email to client and all that stuff. And then we will also discuss interview question and answers. I will give you a document on interview question and answers as well, which I prepared. And then the very important is practicing scripting. Okay, when I say scripting, the recording and replay and customization on multiple applications. Because the more applications you practice, the more easy it will be for you. That's the reason in this course I am adding more number of applications for practice. And also there is something called a virtual table server. It's a different concept. We'll discuss that as well. After covering all these important concepts, I'm going to add few more bonus topics also for my participants. So in these bonus topics, the questions asked in interview related to the other concepts of load runner, like common performance testing questions like heap dumps, thread dumps, okay, um, like load balancer algorithms, okay, and APM tool like Dynatrace. All these topics we will be covering as part of bonus sessions. Okay, so APM tools are very important. Application monitoring tools. Nowadays, most of the analysis part we are doing it here only. So in here we will cover AppDynamics and Dynatrace. Okay, these are the most widely used APM tools in the market. Okay, so what I can do is I will give you one live session on Dynatrace, and I will give you one recorded session for AppDynamics, so that we will cover both. Okay, because in interviews they will ask you, do you have knowledge on APM tools? Yes, they are expecting to have at least 2 APM tool knowledge. That's the reason we are going to cover 2 things. So one live session I'll be giving you on one tool, and other tool I will give you recorded session which I taught earlier. Okay, I mean it's just because of the tool configuration issue which is going on currently. If that is resolved by that time, I will give you both live sessions, no problem. Okay, and then we'll also see load balancer algorithms, how to connect to database to LoadRunner, some AWR report, and also we will also cover web services, how to record scripts for APIs. Okay, the REST APIs and SOAP XML and that stuff. I will also give you the recorded sessions for that as well. Okay, and also I will be giving you the recorded sessions of the LRE also. It's a different thing. Different playlist. Okay, I want my participants to have the end-to-end knowledge, so I'll be giving you access to a different LRE playlist as well. Okay, So these are the points or sorry concepts that we are going to cover as part of this course. With this, um, I'm going to address the questions that you have. So please go ahead and ask the questions, whatever the questions you have now. Uh, 1 second, I'll quickly take some questions from chat. Okay, I already answered Suganya's question. She was asking, do we require coding and all that stuff? Okay, we discussed that question. Password, username, and password. Yes, you can encrypt. Anand, you can encrypt password. Yes. No need to set any proxy, Rohit, for recording the script by default. No need of that. Okay. Okay. Now, some people will ask, sir, should I learn JMeter? Should I learn LoadRunner? Should I learn other tool? See, this is the very important question that I'll answer. See, most widely used tools in the market are LoadRunner and JMeter. LoadRunner is a licensed tool. JMeter is an open source tool. Okay, most of the banking and financial institutions, they prefer LoadRunner itself because of data security. They give more security to data, so they prefer LoadRunner over JMeter. That's a trend that is going on. Okay, um, because it's a licensed tool, they have 24/7 support. They support one wide variety of protocols. Okay, even if the team is having some issues, we have a continuous support. You can fix that. Okay, and also uh, because it's a licensed tool, everything will be bundled into a single installation. Once you install it, that's it. You can just record and replay whatever you want. You can run with how many users you want, whatever you want, you can do it. When it comes to JMeter, it's an open source. Okay, it is also one of the trending tool in the market. Okay, now these two tools are most widely used in the market. Okay, because it is open source, there are some limitations also for that. Okay, but the usage is still there. I mean, most of the companies are using JMeter as well. Most of the companies use both LoadRunner and JMeter as well. For example, in the recent project that I was supporting, they were using LoadRunner for some projects they were using JMeter. Okay, now the expectation in the market, performance testing job market is any performance tester should know minimum two tools. Most widely are LoadRunner and JMeter. So I'm not asking you to learn both at a time. You never do that. Learn one tool. Either you can start with JMeter or LoadRunner. I'm not forcing you. Learn one tool and then switch to other tool and master that tool as well. Okay, like how I told you, AppDynamics and Dynatrace, two tools they're expecting minimally, minimum two tools, minimum two APM tools is what they're expecting. Similarly, minimum two performance testing tools are what they are expecting. Okay, those most widely are LoadRunner and JMeter. Okay, so that is one thing. And uh, let me take other questions quickly. Okay, I answered that question. How can we put load while executing scripts in Vuegen? Deepal, we will not use Vuegen for applying the load. So once we complete the script recording, we will copy that script into controller. There is another component called controller, right? We will log in into that controller and then apply the load there. Okay, we will give the number of users there against each script. Okay, Anand, Anand is asking what is the duration of course. See, this course is about 35 to 40 sessions. Okay, and sessions will be from Monday to Friday, same time, 8 a.m. IST, 10:30 p.m. EST, US time. Akhil, yes, LRE self-placed videos will be provided. Yes. Suraj, LRE is like you have controller, right? So similar to that, like recent versions we got LRE. So where we use LRE, the enterprise edition for execution and all that stuff. I mean, the creation of scenarios and all that stuff. So for that, um some projects use LRE, some projects still use controller. So I'll be explaining you controller, and I will be giving you the recorded sessions for LRE. Okay, I mean, it will be like 10 sessions. That is a bonus actually for you. So around 10 to 12 sessions, I guess, that entire playlist I'll be giving you as a like uh, additional concepts. Yes, Akhil, you will be having lifetime access for those recorded sessions. So daily recorded sessions will be given to you, and you'll be having uh, full-time access.
Yeah, if our company is not using LoadRunner, so how can we use this license tool?
You cannot use if your company is not having license. You can still
Hmm.
use, but you can use up to 50 users only.
Okay.
Okay,
So 50 users is limited period of time or lifetime?
lifetime you can use for with 50 users. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, okay. Yes, Arvind. Yes, we are covering API as well, web services as well. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Sure, Pooja. We will do some more comparisons on with different tools in upcoming sessions. Yes, Karthik. API will be covered. Yep. Yes. So I answered all the questions from the chat window. Uh, any
Kushik,
question?
so
Yep.
yeah, so how much years of experience we can put after this
Good
training?
question. So you can put up to 4 to 5 years of experience, because see, if you put like you 10 years of experience, it should be meaningful, right? I mean, even you can do that, but you need to prepare aggressively for that. Then, like, you need to completely focus on this for like 2 3 months, like daily few hours, and you need to gather so many real-time interview questions and try to understand those questions, how they work and all that stuff. And then the preparation will be a little different. You can put more experience, but then the preparation should be little different for that. Okay, I mean, a kind of next level preparation is what you need to do. But
Mhm. Okay.
normally if you put you can put like 3 to 5 years of experience, no problem, because
Mhm.
we are covering scripting practice on multiple applications. Okay, so normally most of the courses they generally take on application, they develop multiple scripts on that application, and then they'll be done. So not it's not like that. We are, I mean, focusing on multiple applications, because every application can be different in real time. So the more applications you practice, the more easy it will be for you when you onboard real time projects.
Yeah, and does these applications like what you're covering are backed up with that infrastructure thing, right? Because performance testing is all about the reports. So while practicing, we have that
Yes,
infra.
yes, we have that infra. So we have our own application as well, Isha Training Solutions.com. So we will be using that application as well, and I will be using other applications as well. And also I will be showing you how when we run a load test, how the data is flowing to APM tool like Dynatrace, what metrics is coming live there, how what is the analysis that we have to do there. Okay, so all that stuff I will be explaining you practically.
Okay, thank you.
uh, no, Suganya, we are not going to cover mobile performance testing in this course. Actually, it's a separate course what we have. So it's a different topic altogether. Okay. So I answered all the questions. I hope so, for sure. So you guys can reach out to me on WhatsApp if you have any further questions on this. Okay, and I'll be connecting with you guys on the WhatsApp group. I'll be sharing you important concepts, links, okay, the current trends and all that stuff. So it will be a kind of interactive course, throughout, and we'll be learning some good amount of performance testing, including majority of this complex scripting scenarios as well.
Kushik, one last thing. So in interviews, do they also ask the scripting aspects? Do they?
Um, they, they they won't ask you most of the times. They will ask you rarely, but if they ask you, they will ask you like which method you will use for so and so, something like that. But they might not ask you to write something on paper for sure. But
Mhm.
majority of the cases they won't ask, but rarely they might ask. It depends. But in the recent trends, whatever I have seen, I don't see an interviewer asking to write something on paper for this, or any logic or something like this. But it can happen. It can happen, but rarely.
Okay. And do you also have mock interviews? Do you conduct
Yes,
mock
yes,
interviews?
yes, yes. I,
Okay.
I take some mock interviews, and if you are interested, even Kumar sir will also take the mock interviews for you.
Okay.
If the participant is interested, if you can just request me or Kumar sir to plan for it. So either me, or like kind of first round me and second round Kumar sir, something like that. Okay.
Okay.
So any other questions? Please do reach out to me on WhatsApp. Okay, I'll be assisting you. You can always call on WhatsApp. You can ping me one to one as well if you don't want to ping on groups. Okay, so I hope I answered all of your questions. If you we can further connect on WhatsApp group, and we can uh, take the questions there as well. Okay, so I hope I answered all the questions, and hope to see all of you in the upcoming sessions as well. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day. Ankit, cost, you can just ping in the group. Our team will be reaching out to you. Sure. Yep, I'll share the course content. I mean, the course content is already on the website. We'll share the link there. Yep, thank you.